for coming out in such brutal weather to take a half an hour out of your lives to learn about some things regarding your heart. Now, how many of you have heard or know that heart disease is the #1 killer in the country? Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say this, and I tell a lot of my patients this: all the diseases we have in America right now are diseases of Western civilization, all of them. Okay, I don't care what you come up with. Now, we don't necessarily have to worry about getting bit by a black mamba, you know, or getting stung by some, you know, venomous scorpion. But, you know, when you consider that heart disease kills almost 1 million people a year, that's a lot of people. And so what I want to do is tonight, we want to talk about heart disease from a holistic standpoint. Like, what do you do for some of these things, and how do some of these things happen that people get? And we're going to do a little history of heart disease as well. So, let's see. Let's start out like this first. Okay, so if you look at the heart, here's what happens. You have the blood comes in from the body through the anterior vena cava, comes into the right atrium. It gets pumped into the right ventricle, which gets pumped in to the pulmonary arteries and gets oxygenated. Okay. Then the oxygenated blood comes back around into the left atrium, which gets pumped into the left ventricle, which then pumps blood, that oxygenated blood, to the body, and then that comes back around. So that's basically how the heart works. Now you have 4 valves here, and these valves are the valves that right here. These are the 2 that we're going to look at later on, and in terms of how they work. Now, René Laennec was a French physician who invented the stethoscope, okay? And the early stethoscopes were pretty crude, okay? As were a lot of the medical instruments back then. In fact, this is the examination before the stethoscope. And sometimes I wonder if these guys were a little bit sorry that somebody invented one, you know, like, gee, that was too bad, you know? So the heart sound recorder is really a computer-based, low-risk general wellness monitor, and it uses the principles of auscultation, which is what a stethoscope does, to display, record, and save heart sounds. So there's certain types of heart stress can be monitored on this by visualizing rate, rhythm, and tone of the heart cycle. As a result, the heart's reaction to certain stressors can be observed using the device. And that's chemical, nutritional, and emotional stressors, all right? So the heart is really, it's one of the most sensitive organs in the body. It's sensitive to emotions, and emotional stress. How many of you have ever experienced that? Most of us have. If you haven't, you're probably not alive, okay? Junk food and junk food-like substances, it will pick up on that. Endocrine imbalances, like what endocrine imbalance would make the heart beat a lot faster? Anybody?
Diabetes?
Maybe.
The adrenal glands?
Thyroid.
Thyroid.
Yeah,
Yes.
thyroid. Toxicity and pharmaceuticals. Now, this last one, I just want to make a comment on. I don't think that most physicians realize how much the pharmaceuticals they prescribe affect heart function, because they never test it, okay? But they do. They affect it. Now, nutritional supplements also affect heart function. And if you give a person the right ones, they can affect it in a very, very positive way. So, nutritional deficiencies are very common with heart problems, one of the major causes. Not the only cause, but a major cause. The primary deficiency was B complex, especially B4, which you'll never find in a synthetic B supplement, which is what most B supplements are that you find, that you get in the store. B4 comes from whole food complexes, and it's part of the thiamine complex. So if you give synthetic thiamine to a patient, they may respond temporarily, but eventually they're going to get worse because it actually creates an artificial deficiency. Heart disease is the commonest reaction to B4 deficiency. The innervations of the heart become partially paralyzed, the pulse becomes erratic, extrasystoles are common, and ultimately fibrillation may develop. And I've seen a lot of fibrillation with this heart monitor. Dr. Royal Lee was the inventor of the endocardiograph, which is the forerunner of the heart sound recorder. Royal Lee was the founder of Standard Process. He was a genius. His undergraduate degree was in engineering. He's a rocket scientist. And then he went to dental school, became a dentist, and got very, very, very interested in nutrition and how nutrition affected the body. And it was that interest that led him to do a lot of experimentation and founded Standard Process. And in my opinion, I don't think Royal Lee got the credit that he deserved for his discoveries. Not in the way that some of the other scientists who were doing research back then got credit for it. And I talk about that in another talk. A heart sound recorder is an objective way to measure stressors on the heart. And they then provide help in the form of dietary changes and nutritional formulas. So I didn't bring a Diet Coke tonight, but you can we're going to do some heart sound recorder demonstrations tonight, but you can give somebody, do a heart sound recorder and then have somebody drink a Diet Coke, and then 20, 30 minutes later check the heart and see the effects of that on the heart. The heart sound recorder can make accurate assessments of at least 13 areas of heart function. Slow or rapid heart rate, loss of valve integrity, disorganization of electrical current, absent heart sounds, altered blood viscosity, lowered oxygen capacity of tissue, thyroid hormonal dysfunction, AFib, autoimmune heart issues, split heart sound, extra heart sounds, adrenal sugar stress, and cholesterol and fat buildup. The heart sound recorder uses an accelerometer to measure energy. So it's the same technology that's used in seismometers. So it's very, very sensitive to motion and energy. Now, some people ask, well, what about the EKG? I don't have any problem with the EKG. I think it's a great instrument. The EKG measures things that have happened already to the heart. The heart sound recorder measures what's going on with the heart in real time, okay? Now, let's look at common heart conditions and some of their nutritional needs. So let's look at mitral valve prolapse. Most often due to an enlarged heart, more common in young women, okay? Cataplex B is the primary starting place, or cataplex B core. Varicose veins. This is the valves are in the veins no longer work to prevent backflow. Liver and bile needs to be supported, because what happens is you have congestion in the liver, which backs up the portal vein, and then you have backflow into the legs. Beta-col, vascular care complex, and collinsonia root are the main things that we use for this. And beta-col is something that I take on a regular basis. Beta-col is a great product. Beta-col just moves things in the body. It moves things through the liver. So vascular care complex is an herbal care complex, and collinsonia root, just really good for hemorrhoids, varicose veins, but it takes time. It's not something that happens like real fast. If we look at congestive heart failure, that occurs when the heart can no longer pump enough blood to meet the demands of the body. So what are the key nutrients for this? Again, Cataplex B core, cardiotrophin, coleus forte, and hawthorn. Now, are you going to need all of these? No, but you might need one or two of them for sure. Okay? Sometimes only one, sometimes you might need three. How about when you have arrhythmias, when your heart is not beating in rhythm? Cataplex B core, number one nutrient for that. Vasculin, magnesium, and hawthorn, all really good for that. Okay? How about atherosclerosis? That's a great word, and it's used a lot in our culture. It's a degeneration and inflammation of the arterial lining of the arteries. Atherosclerosis is a classic Western civilization problem. Trans fats in the diet cause it. Mega doses of ascorbic acid, you see that all the time. Hypertension, smoking, infection, and I think, sometimes I wonder if too much sugar in the diet would contribute to that. So nutritional considerations for atherosclerosis, soybean lecithin, cyruta, and beta food are all great for that, okay? So those are the products that I would use for atherosclerosis. What about hypertension, high blood pressure? This can be a really tough issue. Some causes are stress, atherosclerosis, definitely mineral insufficiency, sedentary lifestyle, obesity, diabetes, smoking, and alcohol. I'll tell you another thing that I haven't put in here is a kidney that's dropped. Sometimes they have trauma, sometimes their kidneys aren't working efficiently, and one kidney will drop down. I actually had this happen within the last 30 days. The guy came in and he had high blood pressure and kidney failure. I checked him out and he had dropped kidney. And I fixed the kidney. I fixed it to where it should be, and his blood pressure went down like pretty fast, like within a couple of days, and it stayed down. Now, not every blood pressure problem is a dropped kidney. I wish it were, because I could fix all of that. But his was, okay? So nutritional support for high blood pressure, magnesium, L-arginine, garlic forte is really good. Coleus forte, which is also good for female hormones and some other issues. Organic minerals. Okay, so these are some things that you might want to support for elevated blood pressure. So now what we want to do is I'm gonna test some of you guys on the heart sound recorder, and let's look and see what we find out with if you guys want to be tested. Okay, I told Adam I'd test him, so we'll see how much time we have, and okay, Adam, you want to come up? We'll test you first. Let me just get this chair here. Oops. Okay. There we see right here.
Let's see if the coffee affects it.
Did you just have some?
A few hours ago.
H-A-A-H-A-A-A-H-L-M-E-Y-E-R.
EM.
Oh, E-M-E-Y-E-R?
Yeah.
Okay, good, okay. And date of birth?
September 17th, 79.
You're just a baby.
Okay, the other stuff I'm, just for the sake of time, I'm gonna leave off.
Sure.
So let's see what we find with Adam. Now we always start out with the mitral valve. It's right under the left breast area. Okay, good. So let's just see what we got with him. Okay, now we're going to use a tricuspid valve, which is right here. Okay. Okay. This is the aortic valve right up here. There we go. Okay, and now we're going to come over here and we're going to do the pulmonic valve. Okay. Okay. Now you can watch from back. I think you want to watch from back there. So
Yeah, so I can actually see what you're listening to.
So let's look at what we found here. So we're going to do the mitral valve first. Tricuspid. Aortic. And pulmonic. I'm trying to get a good representation of the valve function here. Okay, so we're going to save this. Okay. Now we're going to go to preview. Now let's just look at what we see here. So if we look at first of all, we want to look at the rate and the rhythm of the heart. So this is the work ratio. This is the rest ratio. Mm-hmm. This should be 2 to 1. Does that look like it's 2 to 1? So 1 to 1. Yeah. So his mitral valve is beating pretty fast, too fast. Okay. There's a pretty good first sound, not a bad second sound, but he's got a lot of flutter, a lot of disorganization of current. These lines should be perfectly flat. Here he's got an extra beat. Here he's got so much flutter, it's almost a lot of extra beats. So he's got pretty severe cataplex B4 deficiency right there. His tricuspid valve. Again, this is really a lot of AFib, okay? A lot of it, okay? You can barely see the 2 beats right here, okay? So we're gonna have to do some work, nutritional work with you, Adam, okay? So this tricuspid valve is not working well at all. Not beating very hard, not beating very strong, and completely irregular, okay? I don't think the coffee had that much to do. I don't know, Adam.
Could be a lack of sleep too.
Yeah, I don't know. Aortic valve. Now we have lub dub. So you can see definitely 2 heartbeats. A lot of flutter. See all this like right here? That's a valve issue. His valve, and you can see some of that here as well. His valve is not closing and staying closed. He's getting a lot of regurgitation out of that. Okay, so a lot of flutter, extra heart sounds here, and Adam just needs some help, some nutritional help with his heart. And we used to do that, and I think we kind of stopped that after a while, didn't we?
Yeah, and it seemed to have taken care of it at the time.
Yeah, and I think we've kind of slid back into some. Now, his pulmonic valve, by far the best valve of his heart. Okay, lub dub. I mean, he's getting a lot. It's almost extra beats here. Rest, lub dub, rest, lub dub, rest. Okay, here we have the second sound. First sound higher than the second. First sound higher than the second. Here here's a second sound here, first sound here, but these are very, very weak heartbeats right there. So his tricuspid valve needs a lot of help. So, you know, what we'll do later on, we won't do this tonight, is we'll find out what you need, okay, in terms of supplementation. Now I have time for one more.
I would love to have it done.
Okay. Can you take this
Yeah, I
thing
can.
off?
Be much easier.
All right. So.
Maybe I want this done.
What's your last name again?
Miller, M-I-I-L-L-E-R.
M-I-I-L-L-E-R.
I-I-L-L.
Okay. Date of birth?
1/20/160.
Rock on, girl. Same year.
What?
Same year. 1960.
But I'm probably older.
4 months.
Okay. Sorry about that. This got tangled up here. Okay.
I used to have very, very pronounced PVCs. And when I began taking magnesium, totally stopped it. I mean, I had them for years and years and years. and I haven't felt one now for
For a long time.
long time. So when you were talking about magnesium, that does matter
Yeah, it does matter.
very much.
If you take all the magnesium out of a human being, they'll die.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, I mean, it,
But if you take all the statin medication out of a human being, it won't hurt them at all.
yeah.
Okay, so, all right. So let's look at what we have here. Just relax. Yeah, relax, don't move. Just breathe normally. Let's see what we have. Okay, let's look at tricuspid valve. Okay, good. Just come up to there. There
Oops.
we go. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, just relax. Okay, good. Moving forward. Let's unhook you here.
Okay.
Now let's see what we have.
Oh, that's messy.
That wasn't a good representation.
Oh,
If you,
okay.
if you take a deep breath, it'll do that.
Oh, and I did take at least one.
Yeah, so it'll do that. So you have to, you know, I really try to be aware of what's going on with the patient when I'm doing this because breathe funny. This is so sensitive, it can affect it. So try and be aware of what's happening. Okay, so let's look at tricuspid, or we want to look at the mitral valve first. Mitral valve, not too bad. Lub dub, rest. Lub dub, rest. Lub, this is a little too close together. So not too bad there. Okay. You know, we're not looking at a lot of it, but these two beats are pretty good. Little, you know, looks like a little bit of valve incompetency right there. Tricuspid valve, by far your toughest valve. Okay. First of all, beats not strong, a lot of flutter, lub dub, rest, lub dub, valve incompetency right there. So that valve is not shutting and closing like it should. Here's another example.
To say
of
that's
valve.
consistent on all three of those.
It is
Yep.
very consistent. Lots of flutter. Now let's look at the aortic valve. Now this is the bottom of your heart right here.
Right.
The top of your heart is actually pretty darn good. Okay, so look at this.
That's better.
That's pretty good
Yep.
right there.
Yep.
A little bit of flutter, but look at that. Nice, even heartbeats.
Mhm.
Okay.
Long.
Aortic's top of the heart, and so is pulmonic.
Yes,
Yeah.
they were
Okay.
up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Pulmonic, nice beats. Pretty good work to rest ratio on both of those. Second sound way smaller than the first. Okay. So what I would recommend, Nancy, is sometime, and I don't want to do this tonight,
Right.
so I want to go home and eat.
Yeah, me too.
Is that you come in and we print this off
Okay.
and we give you the nutrition that you need for your heart.
Huh.
We'll figure it out. I would recommend if you want to do that,
Yeah.
it's up to you. And same with you, Adam, we need to figure it out. Now, Adam, I've worked with Adam on his heart before, and he's very atypical in terms of what he needs nutritionally. And so that may be a little bit of a challenge. So for all of you came tonight, we got some really good coupon books to Natural Grocers, which is a
I picked
pretty...
one up already.
Okay, good. You want
I'll
one?
take one, yeah.
Yeah. Adam?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a pretty good deal. I think these expire like
28th
the 28th. So you're going to
of
have to
February.
go get them.
Yeah.
End of the month, yeah.
Yeah, but they have some good deals
Another
in
week.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, olive oil. That's a good
So,
one.
any questions on anything I've gone over tonight?
One thing I noticed, Paul, that potassium was not mentioned
Mm-hmm.
at all. I've always been a strong believer in potassium is for the heart.
It is.
Take it in the morning with your breakfast if you want to eat breakfast. But potassium is a lot of people miss potassium. They don't realize a banana is loaded with potassium. If they just eat a banana in the morning and they got a potassium issue, they could solve their problem with nutrition that way.
That would help.
That would
for
help.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, what I found is I do a lot of blood work, and I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of blood profiles over the years. I can't say that I find a lot of potassium deficiencies. I don't find, I found some, but I haven't found a lot. I think there's probably way more magnesium deficiencies out there. There are a lot of other mineral deficiencies and problems with the heart. I mean, I'm not saying I never find them, Terry. I just haven't found a lot of them.
What about
Yeah.
zinc?
Zinc, all the time. Now,
Yeah.
zinc is not a heart mineral, but I find zinc deficiency all the time.
Affects everything. Yeah.
All the time.
Mhm.
Zinc is more like digestion and immune,
Mm-hmm.
but I find zinc deficiency constantly. Yeah. And zinc chelate isn't it one of our big selling products? Yeah. 'Cause
It
everybody
is.
needs it. Okay.
Yeah.
And our zinc chelate is really absorbable by the body, so very good product. But for heart, what we need to do is print these out. Have you make an appointment? We'll print it
Okay.
out, and then I'll go over it, and we'll figure out what you need.
Okay.
Probably just a couple of products, and then I would recommend you take them for a month, and then we repeat it and see where you're at.
Okay.
Okay. So I recommend a month first, and then maybe depending on where you're at, a couple of months after that.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Okay. Great
Thank
question,
you.
Terry.
Another question, would a good blood profile on Nancy, would that be a forerunner of whatever you think that's a supplement that would help her? Would a blood profile help?
It's possible.
But would it be
What I
worth
find
the
with
$2.99?
blood work is the blood work doesn't always correlate with what we find on here. Okay.
Oh,
In other words, unless, like for example, with blood work, you might find, let's say low vitamin D. You might find a little bit of elevated sugar. You know, I'm just throwing some stuff out there. But that doesn't necessarily, I can't correlate everybody's blood work with what I find on here.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're just like two
doesn't show
separate
up.
entities, okay?
Okay.
And they're both valuable, but they
Mhm.
tell you different things,
Mhm.
you know? So, just like the tire gauge on a car tells you something different than when you hook up the electrical system and find out why your engine light's on, which mine seems to be perpetually on. So,
I understand completely.
yeah. And so, you know, they're two different things. They tell you different things, both of them really important, but they're just different.
Yeah.
So, thank you for coming
Yeah,
tonight.
thank you for
Um,
doing that.
What are we doing next time on the... what's
On
our
the
next-
first.
What?
It's on the first.
The nervous system concerning
Oh,
health
yeah.
and
How the nervous system affects health and disease. And some of you probably seen that talk
I
already.
think so.
It's a great talk, though, for people that want to understand how your body really works. Great talk. So that's one of my core chiropractic classes.
Yeah, it's kind of the understanding of chiropractics, isn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
If you're
So,
going to be a chiropractor.
Again, thank you for being here tonight. God bless you. And if you guys want to make an appointment at some point and
Yeah.
come in and we'll see what you need.